I've said before the first two games of this series were digital only in the US and got delisted sometime 2017. While I did snag a copy of the first game before that happened, I wasn't as lucky with the second, so the only way I can still get it on console is the PAL version. And finding a copy that's both European and in English, boy, it is not cheap. I can only hope this game's worth that cost and at least some fun along the way. This game has 40 trophies, consisting of completing both the main story and all 57 crew episodes, getting the true ending, and a bunch of miscellaneous trophies. Then I need to collect all secret coins, get an S rank on every stage, and beat every stage on the hardest difficulty, which basically boils down to me having to play every stage at least 3 times. That's gonna take a while. Pirate's Log is the story mode, and it's an original one. We start on the Sky Islands and need to get to Eneru. Right off the bat, this game feels so much better than the first one. A new feature that helps with this is called Style Action. It's this meter in the top left that when full, I can activate it and get the first trophy for using my first Style Action. Remember crew strikes from the first game and how bad they were? Well, they're back, and they've been majorly buffed. Not only do they last longer, I'm invincible during it and do more damage. They're basically overpowered now, and I'd be dumb not to use them. I also get a trophy for using my first crew strike. I need to cause trouble in this territory so Nami can open the gate to Eneru. When I go through it, the first secret coin appears. Each story stage will have 3 secret coins, and they'll always be in these special chests. They appear after fulfilling special conditions, those being to get 1,000 KOs, do something without any allies retreating, be it defeating a certain enemy or opening the enemy's base, and getting an S rank. This is where playing these stages multiple times comes in, because I won't be able to do everything else and get an S rank at the same time. I had to meet up with Eneru and have a boss fight against him. He's easy enough as he's just the first boss. When I beat him, I get a few trophies. One for clearing the first stage, one for collecting my first coin, and one for collecting my first secret coin. Before I head to the next stage, I'm going to get the other secret coin I missed. This one's for defeating Smoker. As I'm fighting him, I get a trophy for dodging an enemy's style action attack. Sure, better to get it now than later. After I beat him, the secret coin pops up on the map. As I go, I think I'll get the first 2 secret coins in every stage, then come back when I'm a higher level for the S rank. The next stage takes us to Punk Hazard. The Straw Hats all need to get to the laboratory entrance, which is this zone here. When they get there, a cutscene plays where everyone but Luffy and Nami get mind controlled. Our only option is to flee, and with Smoker helping us, we make it back to the ship safely. This ends the stage, and I get a trophy for completing the prologue, and a trophy for obtaining my first skill note. Skill notes are essentially bingo cards I can fill out by collecting coins. When I get a bingo, I'll unlock a skill I can use. With most of the Straw Hats out of commission, my goal right now is to save them. There's also been a big bounty put on them, so we'll be seeing some familiar faces, like Don Krieg and Wapple for starters. After I capture both territories, Frankie shows up and I can knock some sense into him. Then I beat both Krieg and Wapple to end the stage. Except that isn't actually the end, since Kuzan shows up and now he's the boss of this stage. I beat him and surprisingly get an S rank. I wasn't trying for one, but it'll save me some time later. I also got the other 2 secret coins as well, which gets me a trophy for collecting all secret coins in a single stage. And one of the other coins I got was put into a skill note, which activated a bingo and unlocked a skill, getting me another trophy for obtaining my first skill. Next stage is against Luffy's grandfather, Garp. I have these 3 territories to capture, plus Sentomaru to defeat. Then Smoker needs to, slowly, make his way to the enemy base to open it. I beat Garp, and unfortunately took too much damage for an S rank. This is why I said I'll come back when I'm a higher level, so that requirement will be much easier. We're now going to a place that was skipped in the first game, Thriller Bark. Moria's the big bad here, and he has the power to essentially make zombies. They'll be the common enemies here, along with a mini-boss in Perona. She may as well be a common enemy too, because her devil fruit allows her to create ghosts of herself, so she'll show up a few times. After I beat the zombie commander, he rats Perona out, saying she's hiding in the forest. Once I defeat her for the last time, Chopper and Brook appear. I knock them both out, and now we have Buggy to deal with. He kind of just came out of nowhere. After I beat him, the last boss of the stage shows his ugly face. Perona and Buggy show back up, but I can ignore them as beating Moria ends the stage. Another one where I took too much damage. To help with all the enemies coming after us, Luffy and co attempt to team up with Whitebeard. Before he agrees, I need to go through a test of his. Not against him, but against his shipmate, Marco. I have to beat him once so he withdraws to the enemy base. Then Ace shows up, and once I damage him enough, the enemy base opens, allowing me to fight Marco again. This is a simple stage that's over before you know it. With Whitebeard helping us now, we return to Punk Hazard. Nami's going to check out the castle for clues, and I need to make sure this territory is captured before she gets back. She'll be gone a while, like almost 20 minutes. Once Nami finally gets back, Akainu shows up with the Marines. Instead of fighting him, we all need to head to the southeast fort. I'll still fight him though, because I'll get a secret coin for doing so. Like Don Krieg and Wappo from before, two other enemies that are teaming up are Crocodile and Arlong. Another enemy who shows up is Perona, but I can mostly ignore her. The important thing is making sure Jinbei gets to Arlong so he can persuade him to open the enemy base. He does, so now I can take on Crocodile. During the fight, Arlong shows back up and heads for the allied base. I need to beat Crocodile quickly so I can stop him. When I beat them both, the stage ends and we head to Impel Down. Some experiments were being done here and we need to check them out. I need to capture both territories and beat Hannibal to open the lift to the lower levels. When I take it, Magellan shows up on the upper levels, and now I need to go back to take him out. I take Magellan down, but that's not the last we'll see of him. When I get to the laboratory, he shows up one more time for a rematch. Beat him again, and the stage ends. Turns out, it was Blackbeard who looted both the laboratory here and Punk Hazard, and is now heading towards Marineford. Also here are the Marines, obviously, so we have a triple threat. As usual, I need to capture most territories and take out a bunch of bosses that show up, like Pacifista, Blackbeard, and Kizaru until Akainu and Buggy open their gates. Surprisingly, when I beat Akainu, the stage ends. I could have sworn I had to beat Buggy too, but oh well, I'll take it. Blackbeard sneak attacks Akainu and knocks Luffy out while taking his dial. This lets Blackbeard control anyone he wants, and that's a big issue we need to fix. For now though, this ends the chapter, and I get a trophy for completing chapter 2. Now we have some friends to save who've been mind controlled, these being Hachi and Vista. Then Mihawk shows up fighting for Blackbeard until I beat him and convince him to fight for us. He then opens the enemy base, and inside waiting for us is Zoro. Beating him isn't enough to knock some sense into him, but it is enough to end the stage. After this stage, I unlock a new skill note and some coins to go with it. Some new skills get added, and I get a trophy for obtaining 10 skills. Mihawk thinks Zoro went to the desert island, which is where the Blackbeard Alliance base is, so that's our next stop. Crocodile's here, and he's fighting a mind-controlled Nico Robin. I need to save Crocodile and hope he sides with me. I'll also have to defeat the occasional Robin clone and members of CP9. Only then can we talk to Crocodile, just for him to reject us and become an enemy himself. Once I take him out, he accepts our help, and now we're fighting together. Balluno comes back, but after I chase him down a few times and beat him, I can go take on Robin. Unfortunately, like Zoro, beating her isn't enough to cure her, so she gets away. After this stage, I've collected enough coins to get a trophy for collecting 100 different coins. We're going back to Thriller Bark because not only did Robin escape here, Usopp's here too. I have to deal with the zombies again and take out their commanders. The doors didn't open, and what I thought was a glitch was just me being dumb. I walked around for 15 minutes thinking I was soft-locked, but then I checked the battle data history and saw I missed something about Perona. I have to go to her so she'll take me through the back door. Now I'm in the castle and immediately stumble into Usopp. After I beat him, all the castle gates open. Moria's still hiding when Zoro and Sanji show up to help him escape. I can't stop everyone, so I'll prioritize Usopp and Robin. I beat them both and end the stage, while knocking them both back to normal. The last stage of Chapter 3 takes place at Eni's lobby. Blackbeard's here with Zoro and Sanji guarding him. My main priority is capturing the center territory, as defeating either Zoro or Sanji won't save them yet. When I capture it, Arlong, Wapol, and Don Krieg all show up. I have to defeat them all and capture the bottom territory for the gate to Blackbeard to open. As I'm fighting him, Zoro and Sanji make their entrance. When I beat Blackbeard, he orders the two to flee, so I need to beat them before that happens. Once I do that, the stage ends and I get the trophy for completing Chapter 3. With the Straw Hats back together, we'll head to Drum Island to help the Marines fight back against Blackbeard. Sentomaru is being controlled, so the pacifistas are also against us. Eneru then shows up and is just an annoyance more than anything. He'll block paths with electricity at random times, and I can't do anything but wait it out. When I can finally get to Sentomaru, I beat him and he calls off the pacifistas. Or he did, but Eneru zapped them and brought them back. I can ignore them though and just go straight for him. He's probably the tankiest boss so far. It took me a good few minutes to beat him. Since we helped the Marines, and it's clear they can't beat Blackbeard on their own, we formed a temporary alliance with them. Although Akainu doesn't like that, because of course he doesn't. Him and Ace get into an argument, which leads us into the next stage. I'm against the Marines here, and need to rescue Ace. Once Ace gets to the escape point, you'd think that'd be it. But nope, Blackbeard shows up and has Whitebeard's own men stab him. Then he takes control of him. So much for an easy escape. Now I need to take out Whitebeard since he's an enemy. This does unfortunately lead to his death, but who knows, maybe I can change that later. Before the stage ends, Moria wants to play one more game of hide and seek. I need to capture the territories to look for him. After I beat him, the stage finally ends. That was a 30-minute stage. God damn. The last stage of this chapter is back where it all began, Punk Hazard. Blackbeard and his crew control this whole stage, so there's a bit to do before I can get to him. First, I need to take out some zombie commanders, then Arlong and Don Krieg to stop the cannon fire. More territories pop up, with some more hide and seek. I don't know if I got unlucky again, or if I have to capture both to drag Moria out. Either way, he's finally done for. Just kidding, because I have to do it again. Then Eneru shows up, and after I beat him, I have to beat them both again one more time. I guess that's what happens when you only have 3 named characters in your army. Now finally, the enemy base opens up, and I can take on Blackbeard. He's the final boss, and he sure lives up to it. His damage output is insane. I almost lost my entire health bar from one attack. I have to spend the next few minutes going through the map looking for something to heal me. I am not playing this stage again. At least for now, because I know I'm going to have to later. A few more hits against Blackbeard, and he's beaten. 38 minutes, my god. The dials get destroyed, and everything goes back to normal, just like that. After the credits, I get the trophy for obtaining the normal ending. Yeah, that was just the normal ending. There's another one I can get by gathering more crew members, and I do that in the crew episode section. In here, every playable character, plus some extra ones, has their own stage where they're the final boss. As I complete them, more will become available, adding up to a whopping 57 stages in total. Each one has only one secret coin, and it's for getting an S rank. While the main stages all have different requirements for an S rank, here, it's all the same. Get 1200 KOs, take under 1000 damage, and finish the stage in under 12 minutes. The stages are all level based too, so the further I go, the more difficult it'll get. Let's start with Smoker so you can get a gist of what these are like before I zoom through most of them. Most, if not all of these stages, follow a simple guideline. Either capture a specific amount of territories, or defeat a specific amount of generals. Once I do that, the enemy base opens up, and I can take on whoever stage it is. If I take little damage, and make sure to get enough KOs, it's an easy S rank. The time limit isn't much of a factor, since these stages are so short. When I finish Smoker's stage, I get a trophy for assembling 10 allies. I have to eventually get Whitebeard as an ally to get the hidden ending, but to unlock his stage, I have to do a bunch of other characters. I also get some trophies while doing these, so let's go through those. During Jinbei's stage, I'm cleaning out a territory of enemies and get a trophy for defeating 10,000 enemies with special attacks. Then after this stage, I get Jinbei's secret coin from getting an S rank and slot it into a skill note. This unlocks another skill and gets me a trophy for obtaining 20 skills. Now fast forward about 11 stages until I get to Garp. I unfortunately take too much damage on my first go and have to try again. This time I didn't take as much damage, but I was so focused on that, I didn't get enough KOs. I can't believe I messed up again. Last try. I actually get an S rank this time, and the new coins I got from it are enough to get me a trophy for collecting 250 different coins. If you haven't noticed, I've only been using Luffy this whole time. Even use him throughout the main stages. I mean, he is my highest level, so why not use him, right? Well, some stages have exceptions for what characters can be used. So far, I haven't had that issue with Luffy, but when I tried to do Zoro stage, Luffy's off limits. Thankfully, this game has a feature where I can spend belly to quickly level up characters. I can only go as high as my highest leveled character, but that's more than enough. I'll pick Ace since I remember he was OP in the first game. After I level him up, I get a trophy for spending 100,000 belly. 2 stages later, I get to Luffy, and his stage is tougher than I thought. The recommended level is 40, so I might just need to level up more. I think now's the time to prioritize unlocking Whitebeard, so I'll do that. I need to complete certain character stages first, starting with Buggy. Would you believe that when I get to Buggy's stage, both Luffy and Ace are off limits? Now I need another character. Okay Zoro, it's your turn. After I level him up all the way, I get a trophy for spending 10 million belly. After I finish Buggy's stage, I need to do Hannibal, Magellan, Jozu, and Vista stages. Also, when I complete Jozu's stage, I get a trophy for assembling 30 allies. Now I can do Whitebeard's stage, and his is just another basic capture the territory stage. Once I beat him and end the stage, I get taken to story mode where it tells me I've unlocked a new path where I can save Whitebeard. So let's do that. This is in chapter 4-2. I play the stage normally until Blackbeard shows up and corrupts Whitebeard. Now, instead of it saying take out Whitebeard, it'll say persuade Whitebeard. I still have to beat him, but now he'll go away instead of the cutscene playing where he dies. Now I just have to beat the stage as normal, and when I get back to the stage selection, the final chapter will be unlocked. This is only 2 stages, but boy are they hard. In this extended story, the dials were still destroyed, but Blackbeard and co are still too strong. The logic is they got more dials, and the only place they could have gotten it from is the Sky Islands. Wow, it's like I never left. At first, I need to support 3 characters until they get to suspicious bases to check for dials. They find nothing though, and even worse, they get captured. I need to take the territories to save them, but as I'm doing that, Kizaru and Eneru show up. Kizaru almost takes me out in a single blow. Oh my god. After I beat them both, they come back stronger. I'm getting some deja vu here. Eneru also almost knocks me out in a single shot. This final chapter is tough, and it's only the first stage. After I beat them both again, the stage finally ends. I took so much damage, probably the most I've ever taken. The last stage of the game is again at Punk Hazard. Imagine everything we had to do last time we were here, doubled. The first obstacle to get through is an army of pacifistas. I take a few down, but they just get back up after a bit. Whitebeard devises a plan to bait them into the allied base to trap them there. When they all get close enough, the gates close and I can go after their master, Sentomaru. After I beat him, Akainu starts a meteor volcano and a ton of zombies get summoned. I don't need to fuss about them and just need to help Whitebeard get to the enemy base. Before the base opens, Akainu and Moria appear in front of it for one last rematch. When I beat them, the enemy base opens and I can finally take on Blackbeard for the last time. He doesn't take much damage, but holy god, does he dish it. That was almost my entire health bar in one attack. That was way too much damage. I need to abuse Crew Strike so that doesn't happen again. Only issue is, it's going to end eventually. And when it does, Blackbeard quickly puts me 6 feet under. I can't believe I lost that. Over 30 minutes. Wasted. I was max level 2. What else am I supposed to do? Pick a different character, I guess. 30 minutes later, and I'm back at Blackbeard. He still does insane damage, and I spend most of this fight dashing about the stage looking for health. When I finally beat Blackbeard, his dial shatters for good this time, and I get the trophy for obtaining the true ending. By doing that, I've unlocked the super hard difficulty, so now I can start doing stages on that. Well, time to start back at the beginning and do these stages again on super hard. The good thing about these is I don't have to stress about KOs or how much damage I've taken, since this playthrough is only about finishing the stage. After I've done 5 stages on super hard, an item gets added to the store called Book of Level Limit Break. One of these gets added for every 5 stages I do on super hard. This is a super important item because using it on a character boosts their level cap to 100. That'll help a lot for the harder stages. Since I'm going through a lot of these stages again, I'll be getting more miscellaneous trophies, so let's knock those out. At the beginning of Kuzan stage, I get a trophy for defeating 10,000 enemies with Crew Strike. See? Even the devs knew how good they made it. Can you imagine if this trophy was in the first game? It'd be impossible. Then a bit later, I beat Hancock, and after her stage, I get a trophy for obtaining over 100 million belly. I'm at Ace's stage now, and end up picking Zoro, because obviously, I can't play as Ace. As I'm playing and mowing down enemies, I get a trophy for defeating 100,000 enemies. About halfway done with the platinum, and I just hit 100k. Again, so much easier than the first game. Then, a few stages later, I get a trophy for stunning enemies 1,000 times. I'm actually so happy I got this, because I've heard it can be a pain to grind for if you don't get it naturally. Some more time later, and I've just finished the last of the stages on super hard that I've already S-ranked. Now, with a level 92 ace, I can go and S-rank all the higher level stages. I wonder, can I switch the difficulty to easy? Have I been making it harder on myself by playing on normal? Only one way to find out. Okay, so it seems the devs had some hindsight and made it so S-ranks are impossible on easy. I just learned that the hard way. Guess I'm going back to normal. During these playthroughs, I get 2 more miscellaneous trophies. In a Kainu stage, I pick up a giant meat item that gives me full health. These can be dropped by boss enemies or inside chests, with each stage having at least one. This one happens to be the 100th one I've gotten, which gets me a trophy for eating a giant meat item 100 times. Then, much later, I'm on Nico Robin's stage at Alabasta and use style action immediately. There's a lot of enemies here, and I managed to get a trophy for defeating 500 enemies with a single style action. The last crew episode, which unlocks after doing all others, is Blackbeard again. This time with the powers he had in story mode. It's not nearly as hard as before, and I beat him with absolute ease. After finishing this stage, I get the trophy for completing all crew episodes. However, I'm still not done with them, as now I need to go back and do all those stages again on super hard. About 4 hours later, and I'm back at Blackbeard. I beat him again, and now I'm all done with crew episodes. Before I go back to story mode, I'll snag a few more trophies. I head to the shop and buy one thing from each category. This gets me a trophy for, weirdly, unlocking everything in the gallery. I think it might be a mistranslation or mistake, since all I had to do was unlock all the menus in the gallery, not everything. I'll keep buying stuff anyways, because by spending enough, I get a trophy for spending 100 million belly. The last trophies I'll get here will take a while. Basically, I need to complete 5 stages with 20 different characters. These can be any stage, even the same one 5 times. To save time, I'll also be playing with the second controller in split screen, since it'll count for both characters. The stage I'll be doing this on is Frankie's. I only need to defeat 4 characters, then the enemy base will open. If all goes well, I can have this done in under 3 minutes. Counting load times, that's still at least 15 minutes for every 2 characters. It takes almost 5 hours, but eventually, I get the trophies for completing 5 stages with 5 different characters, 10 different characters, and 20 different characters. We're going back to story mode now, but it's not for what you think. In the shop, there's movies I can buy, which are the cutscenes of the game. In total, there's 55, and I already have most of them. The ones I'm missing are cutscenes that only appear if I play a stage with a certain character. There's only a few I still need, so let's go through them. In chapter 1-4, I need to play as Chopper and get 1,000 KOs. As soon as I do, the cutscene plays. Again, in chapter 1-4, I now need to play as Smoker and fight Ace as him. As soon as I go up to him, the cutscene plays. The next few are kind of annoying. In chapter 2-3, I need to let the enemies enter the allied base. For this, I just need to stand still and wait for them to come in. They don't seem to care, so I have to go out and actually bait them in. When enough of them get in, the cutscene plays. In chapter 2-4, I need to play as Marco and fight Garp as him. After about 10 minutes, he shows up and the cutscene plays when I go up to him. In chapter 3-2, I need to play as Brook and fight Mihawk whenever he shows up. I messed up on this one because I did just that, but didn't get the cutscene. Turns out, the cause of it was me beating him too fast. When he showed up, he was dead in 12 seconds. When I tried again, I deliberately waited until they were done talking. This time, the cutscene played fine. In chapter 3-4, I need to play as Perona and beat Usopp when he shows back up. An easy cutscene to get, thankfully. That should have been all of them, but no trophy. I go into the gallery and see I'm still missing one near the end. I thought all of those would have unlocked naturally, but I actually need to do something special. In the final chapter, episode 1, I need to play as Law and fight Kizaru with him. Easy cutscene to get, but far from an easy stage. I actually lost at first because the allied base was captured. Not my fault they can't defend themselves. I try again, and it's a struggle, but I managed to complete it. Surprisingly, with an S rank too. I buy the last movie I need and get the trophy for unlocking all movies in the gallery. Okay, one more thing, then I promise we'll start grinding story mode. In the main menu, there's a tab called Challenges. There's only 2 of them, so they should be quick. These are essentially boss rushes. The first one has 9 bosses, and it's honestly a joke. My level 100 ace stomped on everyone here, and it was over within 3 minutes. The second challenge, even though I'm double the recommended level, cranks the difficulty to 11. The first base is against Ace and Crocodile. I can take them both out with my style action. The next base is Akainu and Kizaru. They do a lot more damage and are the cause of my first loss. Luckily, my style meter constantly recharges, so I think I'll just wait for it to fill up before going into the next base. After taking massive damage, that seemed to work enough. The third base is Smoker and Kuzan. Obviously, I lose immediately, but we're making progress. A few attempts later, and I'm going into the third base with full health and a defense boost. I'm so close to finishing it flawlessly, but Smoker's a pain and takes half my health before he dies. The last 2 bosses are Blackbeard and Eneru. Blackbeard does his thing and takes all but 1% of my health. Then I'm one shot, so anything will kill me. I eventually make it to the last base with almost full health and full special meter. I want to target Blackbeard first, so he can't cheese me with his powers. Eneru jumps in, and now I'm damaging him at the same time. After an hour of attempts, I finally beat this challenge and get the trophy for completing all challenges. It's finally time to start grinding story mode. First, I'll go through each one and get an S rank, plus any other secret coin I might be missing. Since I have a level 100 ace, none of these are too difficult, so I'll skip to the end. When I get an S rank on the last stage, I get the trophy for collecting all secret coins. Now for the harder half. I need to beat every stage on super hard, and unlike with the S ranks, I didn't by chance complete any of these on super hard. So I basically need to play the entire story mode one more time. Chapter 1-4 is the first obstacle since I can't use Ace. No one else is even close to his level, but I guess I'll pick Kuzan. If you're wondering why I don't pay to level them up, it's because I can't do that past level 50. Kuzan doesn't seem to be working. What about Mihawk? I mean, he is doing better. I barely won, but thankfully, that's all I need. Something I forgot to mention about these stages is there's no items whatsoever. Every chest has been replaced with belly instead. I'm not sure if that's an added effect from the difficulty, but it does make it harder. The next stage that stumps me is chapter 2-4. I can't use Ace or Mihawk here. I try using Luffy, but that goes nowhere. Zoro is my next highest level, but that also goes south. No item spawning is seriously a huge handicap. A skill I never used, and should definitely start using, is one that gives me slow health regeneration. I'll combine it with one that regenerates my special meter, and hopefully that's enough. A lot of this stage will be me standing in a corner and waiting for my health to recharge. These guys do too much damage to risk dying, especially Akainu. It took me 30 minutes for this stage, and half of that was spent standing still. The only other stages I fail at are chapters 3-6 and 4-3. In 3-6, I didn't even die. Sanji escaped because I was busy defending the allied base since they were about to be captured. In 4-3, Eneru started a countdown and I wasn't able to get out in time. Surprisingly, I beat the last stage first try. I guess having infinite health in a way makes things a lot easier. After completing this last stage, I get the trophy for completing every stage on super hard and the platinum. According to the guide I used, this game should take around 55 hours to platinum. Thankfully, this game says how long I took in the save data, which is 36 hours and 14 minutes. Damn, I shaved almost 20 hours off that? I have to say, I enjoyed this game a lot more than the first one. It felt a lot smoother of an experience, and the style action feature is a fantastic addition. Assuming the games keep getting better, I'm looking forward to what comes next.